Why? So that's not the problem. Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Test. It's getting close to 2:30. We're going to wait several more minutes to see if anybody else joins our call here today. So we'll be starting up probably within the next 5 minutes or so. Thanks for logging on with us. I can't hear anybody at the moment. I did get one person message that says the sound works well. If you're having any issues, technical issues, please post in the question section so that I can see your issues. As well, if you have any questions during the presentation today, feel free to post those there as well. Thank you. There we go. Okay, the webcam is on. I was trying to troubleshoot that technical issue here. So I'm guessing everyone can see, oh, it was on. I don't see a red light anymore. There we go. There we go, that's better. So I'm going to go ahead and move myself to the side of the screen. Actually, I'm trying to figure out if this is the first one we're doing with the webinar. So thank you for being patient today. Okay, we're going to move myself over there. So let's see here. It is 2:31. So we'll go wait another 2 or 3 minutes here and then go ahead and get started with our presentation. Oh, no, what am I doing? What is going on? What's Hello and welcome to our webinar today on outdoor weather and safety information. My name is Mitchell Gaines, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service office here in Binghamton, New York. Many of you are familiar with our county warning area covering all the way from the Finger Lakes into the southern tier of New York, northward to Syracuse and eastward even into portions of the Catskills, and of course the northeastern portions of Pennsylvania, including the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area. But a lot of these outdoor weather information and safety tips will be good for no matter where you go. So fall is upon us here, just starting up yesterday in terms of the astronomical fall. So we still have a few months of good weather to get out and enjoy before winter sets in. Winter weather sets in later on in November and December. So with that in mind, we will start our presentation. So we're going to do an outline today. So first I'll go over what is the National Weather Service. So if you're unfamiliar with the services we provide, including the forecasts, decision support services, our outreach type of events such as talks like these. Then we'll go on to some outdoor safety involving the sun. Still have a lot of strong solar radiation, which is light coming from the sun this time of the year, along with camping and hiking safety too. Heat, lightning, and fire weather safety are other concerns as well. Fire season is still going on strong in the western portion of the country, and we can still have lightning with thunderstorms well into the fall. As well, we'll be touching on a very brief hint of winter weather safety in terms of the cold and the wind as well. Of course, we get sometimes our strongest wind events in the fall. That's a nice little segue to mention our winter weather Skywarn talks. This will be Skywarn training that has a focus on the winter weather, like snow measurements, different types of precipitation, what different types of winter storms they are, a little bit on lake effect snow. Those will be advertised on our website on the same site that you went to sign up for this course here sometime next week or the week after that, and tentatively looking for those to run from mid-October to mid-November with several winter Skywarn classes being offered virtually online, similar to this format. So the National Weather Service. There's the National Weather Service in Binghamton right there after the historic snowstorm back in March of 2017. One of the greatest snowstorms, or least great, worst snowstorms, depending on your point of view, was that system bringing over 2 feet of snow to portions of our area. There again is our county warning area, covering most of the southern tier of New York, up into the Syracuse area, down into northeastern Pennsylvania. And then below me, we have the actual display. They are 122 National Weather Service forecast offices across the entire country. So no matter where you go in the lower 48, in addition to Alaska, Hawaii, and the U.S. territories, there is a National Weather Service that will cover that area. So we're up here in the Binghamton area, and there's several offices surrounding us as well, such as State College to the south, Mount Holly, New Jersey, Philadelphia to our southeast, along with New York City, and Albany to our northeast, and Buffalo out to our west, are some of our surrounding offices. You may be wondering, why are they 122 Weather Service offices, and what actually dictates the area that they're covering, excuse me. Well, that's basically the range of one of our WSR 88D Doppler radars that detect precipitation, winds, in addition to other meteorological phenomena as well. And we're a little stuck here. On 1 second. All right, so on to the next slide here. National Weather Service mission statement is to provide weather, water, and climate forecasts. Basically, we provide this information for the protection of life and property. That includes warnings as well. Oh, and of course, to betterment of the national economy, being the Weather Service is part of the Department of Commerce, under which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and under that is the National Weather Service. So once again is that photo of our Weather Service office from a couple of years ago. And we have a Wilkes-Barre EF2 tornado as well in June 2018, which we provided services with. Historical flash flooding back in 2018 that impacted most of our area. And we'll also do a lot of, have a National Hurricane Center, National Centers for Severe Weather, also national centers that deal with winter weather and flooding as well. So there's an example there from the National Hurricane Center of a forecast for Dorian back in 2019. Hang on just 1 second. My apologies for the webcam kicking out. And it just kicked out again. All right, we're going to have to find a way to go on here with this computer. There we go. The sun. Energy is transferred to the Earth from the sun by solar radiation. Then it is absorbed and radiated back upward. So the incoming solar radiation comes down to the ground and is reflected back up into the atmosphere, reflected by the clouds and the Earth's surface. However, over 50% of the sunlight coming down is absorbed by land and oceans. So that leaves a lot of exposure to UV radiation when you're out in the sun, and that's what gives you a sunburn. Oh, thank you, Dave. Suggestion here to try clicking on enable editing prior to launching the presentation. So let's go ahead and try that here real quick. We'll have to figure it out here in a couple of minutes to get the webinar back, or the webcam back up here. So we have the UV index, particularly a lot of the times in the summertime, it can get up to 8, 9, 10 fairly easily. But even when we have a low UV index too, your skin is being exposed to the sunlight. It's always recommended to wear sunscreen and sunglasses as well, and a hat. I particularly, as you saw in the picture, generally tend to like a hat because I easily get sunburned on the top of my head. And once you get into the high and the very high and the extremely high range, that's when you can get a sunburn very rapidly, within 15 to 20 minutes in some cases. So it's always important to keep in mind your skin. Particularly, that can even lead to such cancers such as melanoma as well if you frequently get too much exposure to sunlight. Here we go on to the next slide here. So we have to keep in mind our camping safety tips as well. So that includes many different aspects of weather. So the most important thing when you're camping, as we're going to go over with here in a minute, the hiking as well, is know the weather before you go out. Make sure to check weather.gov/BGM for your latest information, and always pack for inclement weather regardless of the forecast, as when you're outside, weather can definitely change in a hurry. You can go from a beautiful sunny day all of a sudden to a lot of wind and rain and thunderstorms coming through. And also the heat too. If you're outside when it's really hot while you're camping and hiking, make sure to remain hydrated, bring a lot of water with you, wear light, loose-fitting clothing, take breaks, and if you hear thunder or see lightning, make sure you're close enough to a place where you can go indoors and seek shelter, of course, avoiding ridge tops and tall trees when you're outside. Flash flooding as well, so avoid hiking in canyon areas when there's a flash flooding potential. For us, that would be a lot of the gorge trails around some of the parks, particularly if you go up into the Finger Lakes areas as well, and the Catskills, you have some water running through the parks, and if you get a heavy downpour or consistent heavy downpours that lead to flash flooding, some of those waterfalls, particularly an example of Tacanic Falls a couple of years ago, that actually led to some flash flooding because it was raging so hard. All right, on to the next slide here. So this is from our neighboring office all the way in Springfield, Missouri. So building a weather-ready nation, the camping flash flood safety. So camping or floating on area rivers can result in a significant flood risk should heavy rain occur upstream. So it's not only the rain that's falling at your location, but let's say 100 to 200 miles up, a large a river, there is heavy rainfall that's going on, and you're right along that riverbank, all of a sudden a lot of water can come streaming down that river and lead to flooding. So it's always a good idea to know the National Weather Service forecasts and have a NOAA radio handy if you are outdoors camping or hiking. So seek, and of course, if you see flash flooding, seek higher ground immediately. All right, so hiking, know before you go. So you have, check the forecast before hiking. Should I postpone my hike? Well, I'm a big hiker actually myself, so I like going to a lot of the places around our area. We have a lot of beautiful places. All the way in, went to Lackawanna State Park down in PA. Many of the Finger Lakes parks as well, Watkins Glen, Tacanic, which I've mentioned before. Also going around to even some of our parks, Green Lake State Park up by Syracuse, and of course the many of the trails out in the Catskills as well, going up the 3,500 foot mountains and doing several of those hikes as well. So this is one of my favorite things to do around this area. It's so beautiful. So weather is definitely something to take into account when going on a hike around here. You know, several of us in the office are hikers, and we always definitely check the forecast before going to hike. And that's sometimes the determining factor in whether we go out or not. Will be the weather forecast sometimes. Always have a way to check the weather when you're going out, even if it looks clear in the morning. By later in the day, it could be the weather could turn downhill. Should have appropriate clothing as well. Sometimes it could start off fairly chilly in the morning and get very warm in the afternoon. So it's always a challenge on how many layers to wear. Also, do you need any extra supplies as well? Perhaps the sunscreen again, the bottled water, the snacks, the umbrella, depending on exactly what you're expecting for the hike, in addition to your regular hiking gear. So some hiking weather safety tips. This from the Las Vegas office. So thunderstorm safety for hikers. So again, you want to time visits based on the weather forecasts and recent weather patterns. So maybe an afternoon thunderstorm pattern in our region in the summertime. It's particularly that early to mid-afternoon window when we get a lot of our scattered showers and thunderstorms. So you want to definitely avoid the ridge lines, similar to camping as well, and the peaks, and avoid the trees as well, looking for low, flat areas. Staying away from lightning conductors, metal fences, power lines, I think it's supposed to be railway tracks, etc. So get in the lightning position. Obviously, if you considerable amount of lightning around and you can't get indoors, to basically become as small and as close to the ground as possible. Another thing too, we have a lot of boats out on the Finger Lakes, even with some rivers along the Susquehanna River here locally, just as an example. So we want to definitely get out of the swimming pool, out of the beach, and seek shelter if possible, should thunder roar, and head indoors. So buildings, cars if possible. So definitely thunderstorms miles away, again with the flash flooding, can produce flash flooding from a long ways away. And there's also a link for more information on here as well. So excessive heat. Fortunately, we're pretty much done with the excessive heat for this year. But just as a reminder, that heat is very dangerous, especially when we get heat index values above 100. New York, the threshold of concern starts a little sooner, around 95 degrees. So heat is particularly more dangerous the longer it goes on. So if you get more and more of these days where heat index values are upper 90s, around 100 or higher, that generally tends to build the stress up, and particularly the children, young folks, and the elderly as well. So you want to make sure to check in on them, try to find a cool place, fan, or particularly air conditioning, wearing that loose, light-fitting clothing again, and drinking plenty of water. Avoid strenuous work if possible, and take frequent breaks if outdoors. So also looking for the signs of any heat cramps, heat strokes as well in the most extreme cases. Lightning. So when thunder roars, go indoors. Lightning fatalities for outdoor sports. If anyone would have guessed soccer, that is the #1 lightning fatality, is soccer. If you're out during soccer, wide open field, and again, not a whole lot of targets. And then you have, of course, you're outside playing golf. That's another one with a lot of open areas. Baseball, running, and football are all really the same as well. So any of these outdoor weather events, you have a lot of open spaces. Sometimes in the case of baseball, you'll have a lot of metal railings around, metal seats. Goes for soccer and football too. You'll have some metal around, and just make sure when thunder roars, you go indoors. And then seeking shelter is another important step in an enclosed building or car. So that includes school, home, and wait 30 minutes until after hearing the thunder to return outside. So we're going to head outside our local area a little bit now on the topic of fire weather. So fire weather, I put it together with wind as well for this presentation. And of course, I'm sure many of us have heard about the horrible wildfires going on out west, in particularly California. That's been mainly fueled by winds. This week is a little bit of a respite, but there's definitely concern that these fires encompassing a large portion of the western United States will grow once the Santa Ana winds pick up again about a week or so, or even a little bit more out in time. You can see right there, it's unfortunate forest fire moving through the area on the picture, burning down many, many acres of land. So what are our fire weather conditions around here? So basically what a special weather statement for fire weather concerns or a fire weather watch or warning. This is actually of consideration this year because much like in the West, we have been trending drier and drier over the course of the past several weeks, even to the extent where areas in the Finger Lakes are somewhat in a abnormally dry to moderate drought category. So of course you really need dry conditions as well. A lot of what they call fuels here on this graphic is a lot of the wood and other elements, the leaves out in nature that get fairly dry. We don't have to worry about dry lightning that often, but look for very warm temperatures as well, which can contribute to a dry pattern. And of course, strong winds. Generally, sometimes you can get concerned in the 15 to 25 mile an hour range, but particularly when it's over 25 miles an hour, you get a dry surface, dry and warm surface overall with those strong winds. If a fire happens to set out, then with weather conditions fitting those criteria, conditions can become favorable for that fire to spread. So that is something we are particularly concerned about heading toward this fall. And this is for our emergency managers and partner groups. In particular here, this is not your 7-day weather forecast that you just go point and click on the website. This is for particularly an incident where one of these large-scale fires is ongoing. So you can see the western United States is covered in these from several days ago, and there's just a plethora of them the further west. It's basically a detailed forecast that gives you a bit more than what the point and click does in terms of wind direction and speed on an hourly basis. Also, in addition to several fire weather parameters that are very valuable to those in the field that are using those to make rapid fire decisions about how to control a spreading fire and contain it. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our IMET program as well. So of course, weather safety, we have a lot of firefighters, police officers, a lot of folks out here in the West fighting off these fires. And one here, including one here in the Sierra National Forest, the Creek Fire. The reason why I picked this example here is we actually have one of our meteorologists, his name is Mark Pellerito, who is actually on site here at the Creek Fire. He has been sent out to help our partnering agencies, the forest agencies, local fire departments, especially those fire departments specialized to fight this fire, to provide up-to-the-minute and changing weather information throughout the course of the fire on a daily basis. He's putting in some long days out there from crack of dawn all the way to well after sunset. As you can see, this fire is unfortunately spread through a very wide area in the Sierra National Forest and is actually increasing or encroaching on several towns, including Aubrey and Toll House there. The fire is getting dangerously close to those towns where people, of course, live. They have homes, they have their entire lives invested, and this fire is getting close to those towns. So we definitely support those in the community that are unfortunately fighting these fires. Sorry for the little interruption there. To detail that a little bit more, we have wind. So 3 simple steps for wind safety. So make sure all the objects, secure objects, are loose. That includes trash day. If you have your trash outside, try to secure it as best as possible. Lawn furniture, decorations. You may see, particularly as we get later on in the fall, a wind advisory or high wind warning issue. That's when we get concerns about trees coming down as well, because some of the trees have died off and it takes a lower sustained wind to push those over. Want to avoid outdoor burning as well, going back to the fire weather, and use caution if you're driving near high profile vehicles that are a little bit harder to drive when the weather is very windy. So when the wind blows, this was a nice little graphic here. So if we get a high wind warning, definitely stay clear from hazards that are above you. Head inside, definitely take shelter if it is an extreme high wind event coming up. Hold on to the steering wheel with both hands and slow down if you're out driving. Keeping a distance from high profile vehicles. Beware of your loose outdoor items and stay clear of trees as well, which may blow over. All right, so now to preview the little tease here for what we're coming up with. We're going to have winter safety presentations. We are also going to have a winter outlook presentation as well, and also Skywarn classes offered up for the winter as well. We look to get the schedules finalized within the next week or two, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to talk about cold, wind, snow, ice, all of the fun or ugly things associated with winter for the upcoming season. So no wind, this is the science of the wind chill here. So when it's windy, heat moves away from our bodies at a much more rapid pace. So even though it's cold, the lady on the left is creating her own layer of warmth between the skin and the cold surroundings while still making sure to wear plenty of layers when outside. And on the windy day, heat is moving away from her body, so her body temperature begins to drop at a much quicker rate. So chilly, again, only that extra 1 or 2 layers. Definitely though, as you get colder and extreme cold, you definitely want to wear warm layers. Make sure to wear a hat. A lot of the heat escapes through your head. And of course, keeping in mind the face and your feet as well, protecting them from the winter weather. And we have our website right here as well, weather.gov/BGM. That has our weather information on it, our 24/7 forecast. So you can go here to our point and click. Also on this page as well, you can click on local programs and scroll down to the outreach. That'll get you to the place to sign up for our winter talks that'll be coming up over the next several weeks. just waving goodbye to a coworker there, heading out for the day. And a lot of information here on as well. So if you're looking for our forecast information, definitely scrolling down. There is a lot of information on winter weather, all sorts of weather information if you go on and explore weather.gov/BGM. So a busier day may actually look like this. So you know now our headlines are actually showing up. For this example here, there was severe weather this day. So you can see in the pinkish color there that a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. But the orange is a severe thunderstorm warning. So all of our 24/7 weather products are updated on the website. Want to keep in mind our Facebook and Twitter accounts as well. Hoping to get the YouTube account going sometime next year once the COVID situation returns to a more regular normal. Again, hoping for that. We all have our fingers crossed. Also have our Facebook and our Twitter pages too. And definitely from our website and these outlets, you can get access to our briefings that we issue during high impact weather events. Generally twice a day, once around 5 or 6 in the morning, and once again by 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So I'm going to show off these kids' activities at home. I know on some of our talks in the past, we've tried to do the activity or have actually on it or give out the activity information via email. But I'm going to put the links here on the presentation and I'll show them here real quick. So for the kiddos at home, they are a few activities to do with your parents at home. So we're going to click on the security notice there. Of course, there's always something. So. And of course, with this computer, it'll probably be several minutes before it opens up. So let's hope that's not the case. So basically here, I'll send out the presentation as well. So one of them is on the distance between when lightning is observed and when you hear thunder. And the second activity is actually on smoke. So these two activities are definitely worthwhile doing at home if you have young children, particularly still with the school situation a little bit more up in the air. These are possible activities to do with the kids as well, or if you're a teacher listening on this, possible to do with your class from on teleschool as well. I think that's what it's called. Again, our internet, so weather.gov/BGM for us or weather.gov. And my email is mitchell.gaines@noaa.gov. That is the best way to get a hold of me. Here at our office, we work 24/7, rotating shifts. So 1 week I'll be on overnight shifts, 1 week day shifts, 1 week shifts in the late afternoon and the evening. So my hours bounce around quite a bit. So the best way to get a hold of me is through the email, mitchell.gaines@noaa.gov. Again, thank you for bearing with our slight technical difficulties in the start. This is actually the first time that we're using both the computer audio and the webcam as well, based on some feedback we got last year about the phone login. That hopefully this process is mainstreamed, and I definitely would like to hear if a few of you think that way as well. And again, I'll give people a couple of minutes to post questions. Let's see if we have any more questions here that I'm going to pull up. It looks like that there are no more questions coming in. I'll give everybody about 5 more minutes here to put in any questions. Definitely want to thank everybody for being on today. Hopefully everybody's been able to view the presentation. I'll take questions as well by email if you have other matters to attend to. And I'll give it another minute or two for questions. Anybody have any? Let's see here. I can draw. Oh, well, thank you very much, Parker. I see your question here. So my day is going fairly well, Parker. I've enjoyed my shift started here at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So I got out this morning and enjoyed the weather, taking my new puppy, Blizzard, for a walk. He got a long, tired out walk before taking a long nap before I head back home this evening. So definitely a very good day so far. Thank you very much, Parker, for asking that question. Have any other questions out there? I'll stay on for another couple minutes here. Oh, well, Vicki, you are very welcome. Hope you enjoyed the talk today. All right, well, thank you all very much. We're going to adjourn for the day. Again, my email, I'll move the questions out of the way. Mitchell.Gaines, 2 L's on Mitchell, Gaines, Gaines, @noaa.gov. Feel free to email me anytime with questions from this presentation or presentations that will be coming up throughout the fall season. We're still a week or two away from getting a fairly robust fall schedule in terms of outreach talks for everybody to view and participate in. Thanks again and have a great rest of the day.